Hi everyone, and welcome to another free tutorial on the topic of reading tarot and oracle cards. This is going to be a series of tutorials that I'll be posting on my Patreon as well as my YouTube channel. And if you're interested in checking out more of this kind of content, please feel free to like and follow me on any of my social media accounts, and I will be posting more on this topic. So I mentioned in my previous tutorial the importance of ritual, and the reason this is important when it comes to tarot is, as with anything, the more that we do a certain activity, the more our body becomes accustomed to getting into the frame of mind that that activity calls for. So that as soon as we start going through our ritual of meditating and grounding with our grounding stone, for example, or lighting our candles, raising the vibration using a musical instrument or by singing or chanting, all these activities which we ritually do in order to prepare for the activity of reading tarot or oracle cards helps signal to our body that this is what we're getting ready to do. And so the more we do it, the more deeply ingrained it becomes in our body memory. And our body goes, oh, we're doing this now. And then it shifts gears into that reading frame of mind. So this is one of many reasons that ritual is important. We could go into greater detail in a later tutorial on how it matters energetically, but just from the perspective of our biology, this is an important aspect of our reading practice. So I wanted to recommend a couple of books, and this first one is by author Joan Bunning. My copy is in Spanish, but you can find the English version on Amazon as well as a free version on her website. I think it's called Learning Tarot for Beginners, and the author is Joan Bunning. And so this is a really excellent introduction to tarot. She goes into great detail describing the meaning of each card and how to do a spread and a lot of other details. So I highly recommend it. For those who are intermediate to advanced tarot readers, I recommend this book. This is called 78 Degrees of Wisdom. This is by transgender author Rachel Pollack, and she goes into so much depth in terms of analyzing the symbolism of like each object on the card and the history of the meaning, and it's alchemy related background and so forth. So I really, if you're a tarot aficionado and you haven't checked out this book yet, I highly recommend it, and it's also available on Amazon. So if you don't already have a deck, I would recommend starting with the Rider-Waite Tarot. It's also called the Rider Tarot or the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot, and it's basically the traditional tarot structure on which many contemporary tarot decks are based. And my own decks that I've designed are also based on this structure. So in the tarot, There are two parts to a tarot deck. There is the major arcana, or also called arcana, and that part of the deck involves major archetypal, like transcendental archetypes with more essential karmic life lessons, whereas the minor arcana has more to do with the minute detail of the day-to-day life. So this, for example, is an example of the card, the Lover's card from the major arcana deck. This is an example of the Lover's card from My Bronx Tarot. This is AI art, and so you can see the similarity in pattern or in theme. And with the minor arcana, there are 4 suits, and each of the suits corresponds to a particular element. So for example, the suit of Wands corresponds to the element of fire. The suit of Cups corresponds to the element of water. The suit of Swords corresponds to the element of air, and then the suit of Pentacles corresponds to the element of earth. So the concept of masculine and feminine energies are prominent in the tarot, and something to keep in mind is that a person of any gender can embody masculine or feminine energy as they are defined by these very basic archetypal definitions. So where masculine energy would be considered an active, sort of pursuing type of energy, whereas feminine energy would be a receiving energy. So masculine energy moving outward, feminine energy moving inward. And so the way I have designed each of these decks is that where in the traditional tarot, or as it was designed, the suit of Wands was meant to be a masculine energy, and I have designed my decks in such a way that a person of any gender can embody that energy. So let's just briefly cover what each of the suits represents. So typically the suit of Wands, being a masculine energy, is associated with passion, creativity, taking inspired action, let's put it that way. And so as a result, it could be associated with passion, creativity, sexuality, charisma, just different forms of taking action. And then we have the suit of Cups, which, being a feminine energy suit, represents the receptive qualities of spirituality and emotionality. So love, for example, would be a theme in this suit. And then we have the masculine energy suit of Swords, which this is associated with themes concerning the mind. So this is an air element. So it can relate to things like truth or logic or justice or conscience. It also relates to topics concerning conflict. So The next suit is Pentacles. This is the Earth suit, and this is considered a feminine energy suit, and this relates to our material and physical concerns. So it can be associated with health, finances, abundance. In some tarot decks, they call this suit coins or discs. And so in each suit, the ace represents the beginning of that suit. It's sort of like a spark of that type of energy. So in this particular case, the Ace of Pentacles can represent some kind of gift or some kind of opportunity for financial advancement, and so on and so on. In my later tutorials, I'll be getting into greater detail about what each card represents, and we'll just go card by card and get into the nuts and bolts of it. But this is just sort of an intro so that you're briefly familiar with what the different suits are. And the regular deck of playing cards is, I don't know if it was originated with the tarot or the other way around, but the suits correlate so that the suit of clubs correlates to the suit of wands, which is fire. The suit of hearts correlates to the suit of cups, which is water. And then the suit of spades correlates to the suit of swords, which is air. And then the suit of diamonds correlates to the suit of pentacles, which is earth. So if you were sufficiently advanced in your ability to read tarot and not have to look up the meanings and such, you could theoretically use a regular playing card deck to practice cartomancy and interpret that way. So the next topic is that concerning spreads. So some tarot readers actually don't use spreads. It just depends on your personal taste and preference, but if you are getting started with the tarot, it can be helpful to learn different spreads. There's one that I like to use, which is a very basic spread, is the past, present, and future spread, where you have 3 cards. You shuffle the deck and you deal 3 cards, and the first card represents where you are coming from, your past state. The middle card would be your present state, and then the third card would be your future state, so the direction that you're headed. And so something to keep in mind is that there's not only one way to read the tarot. So you might look at the cards and see something in the pictures that leads you in a different direction than the traditional meaning, and that's perfectly fine. The whole idea, as I mentioned in my previous tutorial, is the flexibility so that you can see how it relates to the context of your life. So that's all for today's tutorial, and if you're interested in receiving more of this content, please like and follow for more. Thank you.